Maybe, yeah. Also, so I don't get everybody else talking in the background. Okay, so we're here in Pelham. Would you like to explain where we are and what we're doing here and why you came out?
Yeah, we're in front of the home of the CUNY Chancellor, Felix Matos Rodriguez, who on October 11th issued a statement about the war that's going on in Israel and Gaza. And the statement was, it was an abomination, frankly. It was completely one-sided. It mourned the loss of Israeli lives and said absolutely nothing about what was already an unfolding catastrophe in Gaza. Israel had already started bombing. The Minister of Defense in Israel had already referred to Palestinians as human animals, and the designs of the Israeli government were clear. It was very clear what they were going to do. And what they have in fact done, which is to slaughter more than 11,000 civilians in Gaza, including more than 5,000 children. That was all clear when he issued his statement. And the statement said nothing about Palestine. It did not mention Palestine. It did not mention Palestinians. It did not mention any historical context for what's going on, as though just out of nothing, Hamas launched this attack. And so it really acted to erase our Palestinian and Arab and anti-Zionist students and workers at CUNY. And so we are here to let him know that it's unacceptable and that we demand that he retract his statement.
What would you like to see happen with the war that's going on right now?
Well, a ceasefire needs to happen immediately. That I think goes without saying. The bombing needs to end, and then beyond that, it's different people have different opinions on the solution. I certainly have my own ideas about the way forward, but what is certain to me is that the bombing needs to stop. And there needs to be an examination of the history of what's going on. What happened on October 7th is not separate from the history of the whole region. And that means looking at the occupation of the West Bank, looking at the fact that since 2017, Gaza has been an open-air prison. It has been under siege. It has been locked. People are born, live, and die in Gaza without ever having a chance to leave because they are trapped there by Israel. The occupation, the building of settlements in the West Bank, the epidemic of settler violence against Palestinians, which has gotten much worse in the last month and so. All of that needs to be discussed. There is this idea that the occupation and Israel's oppression of Palestinians has nothing to do. Well, we can't talk about that because of what Hamas did. What Hamas did is horrible. It was a terrible act. They killed civilians, and they should be rightly criticized and attacked for that. But the blood on Israel's hands is much greater, much redder, much deeper, and they need to, that needs to be part of the discussion.
I've heard different things, different perspectives on the Hamas attack itself from people within this movement. Some people who say, well, it was a necessary, by any means necessary. Some people who say, no, as you just did, it was a terrible thing. Other people who are saying that it has been misrepresented by the press. Is there like a divided opinion in the movement about what happened on October 7th?
So I can't speak for the whole movement. I know. I can only speak for myself. I don't celebrate what Hamas did. I don't glorify it. And that's another problem with the Chancellor's message, by the way. His statement equated people who are fighting for Palestinian liberation with support for Hamas. And that's wrong. There may be some people who do that, but it's certainly not everyone in the movement. So I don't know if there's division. I know that my own personal feeling is that What Hamas did was an attack on workers. It was an attack on innocent people. They didn't attack the IDF. They didn't attack the Israeli government. They attacked civilians. They attacked workers, and I'm someone who fights for worker solidarity. So I don't support what they did.
Can you say a little more about what your positive vision for what would happen after a ceasefire is? Because I think that people hear a lot of critiques and criticisms of what's happening and what they don't want to see.
Sure.
But if there was a ceasefire, what ultimately would you want to see happen in that region?
I think what is necessary for workers in Israel and in Palestine, in the West Bank and in Gaza, is solidarity between workers. And for me, that means one state, one area that serves both Israeli and Palestinian workers. I am Jewish. I don't believe that a Jewish state, an ethno-state, a theocratic ethno-state like Israel, I don't believe there's a need for it. I think that Israel should be, or Palestine, whatever we want to call it, should be a place that is open to any worker, frankly, who wants to live there. Israeli, Palestinian, what have you. And it certainly won't be perfect because, we have problems in the United States, right? We don't live in an ethno-state. It's not like there's not racism here, but at least an end to the Zionist project is what I would like to see.
Okay. And you think that's realistic for Israelis living in Israel now, that there would be, because a lot of people think it isn't realistic, right? That Israelis would be able to continue to live in a unified state. But you think it is realistic?
I think there were probably people who thought that the ending of apartheid in South Africa wasn't realistic, that there would be no way for that to work, and it did. Perfect. There are a lot of problems, but it's up to the politics are primary. So if there's a political will for it to happen, then it can happen. If there isn't, then it won't.
Is there a larger picture here, because you're talking about worker solidarity on an international basis? Okay. A car coming through here. And so, what is your vision for a larger for the larger international movement?
For people like you see around you to have power, workers and students, to end capitalism, to make a society based on the needs of the working class and students, and not on the needs of imperialists. What's happening in Israel is a direct result of the need for U.S. and British imperialists to control oil in the Middle East. And it's resulted in the deaths of thousands upon thousands of Palestinians, the militarization of Israeli society, and harms to Israeli workers as well. And so we need to get rid of the whole system. So,
and replace it with what?
That we don't have to get into right now.
But isn't that the big question?
Yeah, but I don't want to get into it right now on your channel.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
Thanks.
Thank you very much for talking with me. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Once there's a cloud, it's clear. It's over for us.